It's Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. A lot to talk about today. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification down below so that you are alerted when the newest videos drop. And really make sure to share all of these videos with all of your friends, associates, all of your social media. We must continue to wake people up. We're getting very, very close to some major events taking place. And I think the further we get into this year, we're going to see more chaos released right here in America. And I want to start with a couple articles here. This one from CNBC. Fed could cut rates fewer times than expected as economy keeps growing. Now, I want to ask all of you, do you believe the economy is growing? Because I don't. I really believe it's doing the opposite. And, you know, we have people on the television, we have politicians, we have economists telling us that things are good, that the economy is growing, that we have a resilient economy, that we have a resilient consumer, that everything's fine. And this is so dangerous because there are actually people who believe this. There are people who listen to this, and they are making life-altering decisions financially based on this information, based on this data. The data is polluted. The data is completely manipulated. It's inaccurate. Call it whatever you want. We have a very rigged system. And so a lot of people still don't believe that. They still believe what somebody, you know, in a $3,000 suit on the television tells them. They still believe what a politician tells them. It says here that the probability of recession has fallen to 32%. Anybody watching this that does not think we're in a recession right now, that we've been in a recession, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, in my humble opinion. I think we're beyond recession at this point. I think America has now entered a depression, one that is about to get much, much worse. But we do know that the Fed, the Federal Reserve, is data dependent, and they're going to go off of this data. And there's no way that we are going to get a rate cut with this type of data. I don't see any rate cut for this month. I don't see one for June. Now, you know, we went from 6 to 7 to today they're talking 2, maybe 3. That's not going to be good for the stock market, which keeps ignoring this, hoping that we're going to get multiple rate cuts this year. I don't see it happening. In fact, I don't see us getting one rate cut this year. How can they do it? If they're as data dependent as they are, there's no way the Fed is going to cut. And in all honesty, the Fed should be hiking right now. You know, I was watching Fox Business today, and they had somebody on the show, and they asked him, why with 11 rate hikes, why has it done nothing to stop inflation? Why are we at where we're at? And he made a really, really good point, because we're still printing tons of money. And I would add to that and say that inflation, and the inflation that the Fed is fighting, is much higher than we're being told. The Fed is nowhere near fighting real inflation. Real inflation arguably is probably anywhere between 10 and 12%. Some people would argue it would be higher than that. There's no way. I don't even know what the Fed's fund rate is right now. What are we at? Like 5.5, whatever it is, 5 3/4. It's not enough. They have to go much higher, because inflation isn't 3%. It's 10, it's 12, it's 15%. And to have a Fed's fund rate at 5.5% or wherever it's at, it's just not going to be enough. And this is why we're not going to see inflation go away anytime soon. And they better be very, very worried that they don't let this genie out of the bottle, and that we have real serious inflation like hyperinflation. If they reverse course too early, we're going to see hyperinflation. Here's another one today from The Hedge. Housing starts and permits surge in February despite plunging rate cut odds. You know, this reminds me so much, when we look at the building sector, it reminds me so much of, you know, 2006, 2007. No fear at all, and nobody even questioning rate cuts. These builders just seem to keep breaking ground, building houses, no fear whatsoever. And maybe they believe that If they build enough houses, the Fed has to cut rates. The Fed is going to be forced to cut rates. I think that we're going to see a lot of these builders at some point in very, very big trouble. It says here, building starts soared 10.7% month over month. That's huge. Permits jumped 1.9%. Again, are they hoping that the Fed is going to come in and save the day and cut rates? I don't know. I think it's extremely risky. And they may have no fear right now, but they had no fear back in 2006, 2007. Then 2008 hit, and it was a whole new world. Dirt lots out here. D.R. Horton was selling their lots at 90 cents off, 10 cents on the dollar, 10 cents on the dollar. Homes were selling 50, 60, 70% off right here in Coachella Valley. That was very, very common. I didn't see too many homes selling for less than 50% off. I saw homes anywhere from 50, 60, 70% off, even higher in some cases. And that could happen again, but the builders who a year prior just had no fear and said it could never happen, they were in big, big trouble. Here's one from Fox Business. I was reading this yesterday. Crafts retailer Joanne files for bankruptcy. Joanne Fabrics, after 81 years in business. Look, this is we're going to see more of this. Why? Because many of these companies took the cheap money a couple years ago, and now rates are much higher. They don't have access to cheap money. They've piled up massive amounts of debt. And so it literally, we're seeing every day more and more bankruptcies with these large companies. So another sign of the times, ladies and gentlemen, and without cheap money. Again, this is why so many people on Wall Street, corporate America, want to see rate cuts so they can have access to that cheap money again. They know that it'll fire up probably the housing market again if people can get, real cheap mortgages. That's not going to happen. We're not going to see these 2.65 or 3% mortgages probably in our lifetime. We are not going to. But think about, without this cheap money, this economy is stagnant. It's at a standstill. And it is so reliant on cheap money. I think that mortgage rates should be right where they're at right now. I think 7, 8, 9% is adequate. I think that's average. Problem is, home prices have gone ballistic because of the bubble that was created by the Fed buying mortgage-backed securities, putting mortgage rates under 3%, interest rates too low, and now you've allowed so many people to buy homes that they could never really afford, but you allowed the financing to get so cheap that it allowed people into this market. But now they have huge amounts of debt because they bought a home that might actually be worth $500,000, but they paid $800,000 for it. But they got a cheap loan, right? But they still owe $800,000 on this home that's really actually worth $500,000. So what's going to happen when things reverse? People begin to lose equity, and prices begin to go down, and they see the wealth on paper disappear. You're going to see a run to the exits. People, I don't think they really realize how quick this can happen and how bad it can happen. Many people watching this video today might not have experienced 2008. It wasn't not that long ago. And if you did experience 2008, you know how quickly things can happen. You know how fast this can wreck companies, households. People were running to the exits trying to get out of these homes. And unfortunately, prices were falling so fast they couldn't get out. And on top of that, many people borrowed money out of their homes, using their homes as ATMs, pulling tons of equity out of these homes like they've already done. And when the market reversed, they couldn't get out. They owed too much. And to sit here and think that that can ever happen again, it goes in cycles, ladies and gentlemen. It always happens, and it's always going to happen. And this always shakes out the weak, shakes out the people that really shouldn't be in these houses, that can't afford these houses. And it's going to shake out a lot of people this time because so many people have been living beyond their means, buying cars that they should have never bought, living in houses that they really couldn't afford. Now credit card rates are on average 23%. So imagine last year you're paying 16%, on your credit card, and now it's 23, 25, 28%. How many people do you know carry massive balances on their credit cards month to month? 7,000, 8,000, 12,000, 20,000. Imagine paying 23, 25, 29% on this money. These people will never get out. Los Angeles Times, a sign of the times, tearing down and emptying Orange County office complex to build a warehouse. I was reading this last night, and it's very fascinating. This is in Santa Ana, California. Actually a beautiful office complex, all glass, kind of that silver reflective glass, really sharp building. At least it was, back in the day. I passed this building when I lived in Mission Viejo. I used to pass this building when I lived out in South Orange County all the time. But this is how weak the office rental market is and commercial real estate. And we're going to see more of these beautiful buildings torn down, demoed, so that they can put in warehouses, build warehouses. And I think that's really sad because, think about when you see these beautiful office buildings, they're going to be torn down and you're going to have big, boxy warehouses taking their place. I think it's an eyesore. But again, it is a reflection of this economy that they're telling you and I is so resilient, so good. This building is very, very close to John Wayne Airport, beautiful airport in Orange County. But as I think about this building and driving by it so many times, many, many years ago when I lived in the area, the building was purchased in 2018 by Kearney Real Estate Group, or the Kearney Real Estate Company, for $35 million. It's 163,000 square feet. And again, an impressive building. And now I think that it's just going to be a big, boxy, metal building. And then I think how much Chinese goods are going to be in these buildings. And once this office building employed American workers, now we're going to have warehouses loaded with more Chinese goods, manufactured and made by China, making their countries wealthier, their people wealthier, and they're going to be sitting here in warehouses that were once beautiful, gorgeous office buildings with productive Americans. It's gone. It is gone, and we're going to see more of this taking place. And we were being told, daily how bad the Chinese economy is. They're doomed. China's done. They're going into a depression. They're going to be buried. They're done. Yet those warehouses in Orange County that are replacing those once beautiful office buildings are going to be supplied from the bottom to the top of the ceiling with more Chinese products, making those countries and those people wealthier and wealthier, and making us more and more dependent on China. So really, really sad to see that happening. Here's another one. The Bank of Japan just made a historic rate pivot. The Bank of Japan ends the world's only, get this, negative rates regime in a historic move. They raise rates from 0% to 0.1%. I mean, that is unbelievable, isn't it? I don't even believe their stock market has even recovered from the 1980s. Correct me if I'm wrong. But is this a sign for America? Are we going to follow and maybe not have rate cuts, but actually rate hikes in 2024? Is there now a probability? There is more of a chance now that we will see a rate hike in 2024. I could be wrong. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know. Are we going to see any rate cuts in 2024, and how many? Is it going to be 1, 2, 3? Or what I think will happen is I think we're going to stay where we're at right throughout 2024. So it will be higher for longer. That's my opinion. Let me know what yours is. Love to know. Texas pulls $8.5 billion from BlackRock in stunning blow to ESG program. BlackRock is engaged in boycotting energy companies in Texas, let alone the entire United States. And Texas says, you know what? Have a nice day. We're going to vote with our wallet. We'll take our $8.5 billion. Goodbye. And now they are, Texas, the state of Texas is voting with their wallet. So that's a pretty good blow to BlackRock. And it's another prime example of the power of voting with your wallet and putting your money where your mouth is and spending your money and time on what you believe in and what you don't believe in and who you believe in and who you don't believe in. I don't support Hollywood, so I don't go to movies. I don't give them a dime. I don't give them my time. I don't support most sports, basketball, football, baseball, because they have sold us out. They have slapped us in the face. So I've said this a million times. I don't buy tickets. I don't watch them on TV. And I certainly do not give them a second of my time or a penny of my money. And you know, that's just my decision. But why would I give money to an organization that is going to use it against me? I just cannot do that. It's called walking the walk. And I don't hold anything against anybody. I'm not going to judge anybody who goes to a baseball game or a football game or a movie. But at some point, we have got to take responsibility for what's going on. And we have to make sacrifices. Maybe we don't go to a game. Maybe we don't go to a movie because we know where the money is going. And so God bless Texas for that. That's fantastic. Here's another one from The Hedge today. Boycott slams Planet Fitness shares as Americans fight back. Year to date, Planet Fitness is down 23%. They've gotten very political. And they've gotten very political in their gyms and with some of their rules. And people said, hey, no more, goodbye, cancel my membership, I'm out. So year to date, their memberships are down 23%. People are voting with their wallets. And God bless people voting with their wallets. I think we should do that. Whether you're, on the right, the left, the middle, this isn't political. But it is about what you believe in. And maybe it is a little bit spiritual. Maybe it is a little about right and wrong. And doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing. So you could be right, you could be left, you could be in the middle, and you could say, hey, this is terrible behavior. Or I don't believe, in what they're doing, because it not only affects the people on the right, the left, and the middle, it affects me. It affects everybody. So it's not even political. It's really right versus wrong. And people have the ability to get rid of this stuff if they want to. And one of the ways to doing it is voting with your wallet. Don't give certain companies or a restaurant you go to your money if you don't believe in what they believe in. And if they're trying to sell something, if they're trying to push some narrative or some belief that you highly disagree with, that may not be healthy for you or your kids, then you don't go there. We can all have an opinion, but when people, especially when businesses start getting real political, when they have a real narrative, when they're really trying to push something down your throat, that's where I have a real issue, where I'm just not going to deal with that. The Hedge today, it's enraging. Get this. New York City homeowner arrested for changing locks after squatters take over. Adele Andolaro was placed under arrest at her $1 million home in Flushing, Queens, which she inherited from her parents after they died. Think about this. $1 million home, doesn't matter if it's a $100,000 home, whatever. It's your home. It was your family's home. And some losers come in there and now say it's their home and they're going to stay there. And you go in there and say, no, I'm changing the locks, get out. You get arrested. The criminals have more rights than you do now. I think you're absolutely out of your mind if you're doing any sort of business in New York. Get the heck out of New York. New York is falling probably quicker than any state in America, but absolutely repulsive, this person being arrested. And I hope that at some point there's some accountability with the politicians and the people in law enforcement and the judicial system who are allowing these actions to take place. These are the criminals too, not just the squatters, but the people allowing this to take place in these cities are the real criminals. And I hope at some point each and every one of them is held accountable, because this is completely wrong. This is costing people their livelihoods. It's destroying their homes and their real estate investments. I'm sure this woman has sentimental value with this home. Her parents have died and left this to her. This is completely wrong. And this is wrong too. I'm going to finish with this last one coming from The Hedge. Colombian drug lord arrested after operating out of Texas migrant shelter. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? 29-year-old Adurbos Perello, one of Interpol's top 10 for operating a drug ring within a migrant shelter. Top 10 on Interpol. This happened in San Antonio. And let me reiterate this. Drug lord, not drug dealer, not drug user, drug lord. We got some real bad people who are just walking on the streets of America. They're walking through your shopping malls, they're walking through your restaurants, they're walking through your neighborhood, they're walking through migrant shelters. We got some real bad players here, and I hope all of you are taking the needed action to be protecting yourself, upping your security at home. And please make sure to check out yesterday's video. I had my boxing coach, my friend Boy. We did a session yesterday, and just talking about the importance of you getting in better shape and you being able to protect yourself and your kids being able to protect themselves. I thought it was a very, very important episode. And I know that, you know, most people are not interested in that. And I know it's not the most popular of my videos when I talk about training and self-defense and things like that, but it is one of the most important things that we need to talk about and face. Most people don't want to do it because it takes work, it takes time, it takes some pain, and most people just don't want to do it and hope nothing bad happens to them. It's a terrible strategy, ladies and gentlemen, especially in the time we live in, especially the time that your kids live in, the bullying that's going on, the assaults that are going on, the crime, everything. It is so important now to be taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. But physically, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't defend you and your family, I feel bad. I feel like I'm not getting through to you. I want everybody watching these videos, no matter what age you are, you got to take care of your security. And if you're, you know, disabled, if you're too old, surround yourself with people who are trained, people who are younger, people who will look out for you. Keep in that circle and make sure you have a strong circle of friends. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Please like, share, subscribe, and feel free to comment down below about anything you want to comment on. And I appreciate the comments because they are so inspiring. You have no idea how many people you have inspired with those comments. So please keep them coming. Have a great day. God bless.